Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. This is Laurie Smith, and this is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another Restoration. And it's Monday morning, August the 15th, and glad to be here. Just waking up, having coffee, and just, looking forward to a new week, and had a good weekend. It was a very busy weekend, actually. Didn't have a whole lot of time to get any kind of real rest in there. Did a little bit, but not much. It was quite busy. And so I didn't get to work on most of my stuff that I wanted to work on. And so, but, these things happen. So, I hope you all had a good weekend, and I'm looking forward to this week. I always try to be positive and try to, be hopeful. It's going to be a good week for everybody, so I sure hope it is for you too. And we'll get right into this. We're looking at morning reflection, positive reinforcement really for my healing journey, which, I hope will be helpful for other people, if you're a survivor of abuse. Because this show just holds me accountable so that I'll actually do some work in my healing journey instead of put it off. And like I said before, that I keep kind of doing, sort of let the ball drop on my work that I need to be doing for my healing journey. And I just hope that this is helpful for others, out there as well. And because, there's so many people out there, survivors of abuse, who really have no one to talk to and no validation, and nobody, really. You can find people out there who do seem to understand, what we've been through and stuff, but you have to look around, and you have to be careful who you get involved with. And you need to be careful who you entrust your information with, right? And so I just kind of do this show just to be a bit of a positive voice out there for survivors of abuse, to hang in there and to never give up, and, them sort of, just, as people were doing the same thing for me a few years back, which was to extend a hand to me, to tell me the same thing. Hold on, and hang in there, and keep going. And it's so I'm glad that those people were there in my life, and so I like to do this show, and also it holds me accountable for my own healing journey. So we'll get right into this morning. Morning reflection: how am I doing on my healing journey? How are we doing? Any particular things that I need to work on? How am I feeling this morning? How am I feeling this morning? I feel really pretty good this morning for Monday morning. Like I said, pretty busy weekend. Didn't have a whole lot of time to sort of just put my feet up, but I did get a lot of things done that needed to be done, so that was good. But how am I feeling as far as my healing journey goes? I'm feeling pretty good today. Not bad at all. I haven't had any real flashbacks or nightmares or any kind of obtrusive memories or anything coming through for a few weeks now, because I finished up my Born in Hell website about 2.5 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago. And that was very triggering for me to do, put that website together. That website took me like 2.5 months steady work to do, to get it done. I wanted to get it done, get it over with, because it was very, it was very triggering for me to do that. So, but now that I've kind of moved past that for a couple of weeks now, I'm starting to feel a little better. And I think we should do a safety checklist. If you're a survivor, you need to make sure that you're safe enough, first of all, to listen to information about abuse and about somebody else's story, about anything to do with abuse. You need to make sure you're safe enough this morning to listen, that you're safe in a safe enough place that you won't hurt yourself or somebody else. And you want to get that information, you can find it. It's everywhere, but there's a really good Survivor to Thriver manual from ASCA, Adult Survivors of Child Abuse, a Morris Center program. You can go to their website and grab their Survivor to Thriver manual for free. And the safety first is like 60. The first chapter is safety first. It's 60 pages long or something like that. It's really close. It's like 60 something pages long. And I read that a long time ago, and it was very helpful for me to read that. And so I hope that you'll do that safety check for yourself to make sure you're safe enough to listen to my stuff, any of my stuff dealing with child abuse stuff, or survivor information, adult survivors. So make sure you are safe enough to listen, and we'll get right into this. I want to look at that victim to survivor to thriver thing from Havoka, and that's on Friday we looked at overwhelmed by past. That's the victim. The survivor's naming and grieving what happened, and the thriver is living in the present. And this morning's is the victim might feel hopeless, or it seems like everything is hopeless. Survivor is hopeful, and the thriver is faith in self and life. I'd say I'm in between the survivor and thriver. I was feeling very, very hopeless there as a victim of child abuse. For my whole life, I was feeling very hopeless. And then as an adult, I realized that I could kind of skirt through life with a lot of problems, but I was still doing it. And, I still felt kind of hopeless, I guess, as a, as a child who was abused and then became an adult. I just felt like my life was meaningless, really, because I just had a lot of problems dealing with the rejection from both of my parents, really, from my family. And so I just felt like I was hopeless. Actually, survivor is hopeful. That's me. I'm hopeful, and I'm hopeful that I can heal. I'm hopeful for healing. I'm hopeful for that I can be good to myself and be good to others. I'm hopeful that I can run this race, finish this race off that I needed to finish here on the earth, and that I'm to do the best job that I can. I'm very hopeful. I'm not quite the thriver yet. Faith in self and life. I really don't put faith in life at all. Faith in self, I'm actually learning to do, but faith in life, no, because faith in life, life throws some serious trauma our way many times. So I put faith in my higher power. That's my God, right? I'm a Christian, but I just don't like to mix my Christian views and whatnot with my survivor stuff, because I used to have so many problems with God, so I wouldn't listen to anybody who would even talk about God or would talk about prayer or anything like that, because my dad was a Christian and he abused me, and I didn't want anything to do with Christianity. And so I don't mix my Christian views with my survivor stuff here, but, my higher power, that's who I have faith in, but not this life, But I'm learning to have a little bit of faith in myself, that I'm truly going to do the steps that I need to do, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to give in. I'm going to continue to work at this until my last breath, and to overcome horrific child abuse, So I'm hopeful, absolutely. I'm in between the survivor and the thriver there. So it's kind of interesting to see where we're at in these things. I think this is a good tool from Havoka. And then there's the Havoka Trust information that we were looking at. And I want to sort of keep going in that. That was really rather interesting. And that's Help for Adult Victims of Child Abuse. That's Havoka, HAVOCA.org. That's an interesting website. I recommend everybody to go check that out. They have lots of good information there. And so we left off learning to trust others on Friday, and if you want to, you can go back and listen to that. We'll pick up here with, it says, don't underestimate the strength of your relationship. If there is a foundation of caring, love, and mutual respect, then the relationship will be able to withstand a problem such as this. So we're just learning to trust others, right? And because we, as survivors of abuse, obviously we couldn't trust the people that should have been there for us, right? And then we may have not told anybody about the abuse, and we're just, like they said, just results in a veil of secrecy being extended around us and reinforced, right? Because if we were abused, and then we don't trust anybody, not even to tell other people about the abuse, right? Because the trust issue is a real problem for survivors. Then they looked at rejection, So they said, if we're in a relationship, our partner should. Says if your partner is interested in you, then they will take the time to listen and deal with your problems and feelings. And then they said, don't use your fears as an excuse not to take the first step to develop trust in your relationship. And then I was talking on Friday that you have to be careful when you're doing stuff like that, because not everyone will be in a position to help, and not everybody would feel comfortable enough to deal with our survivor issues. I know that my husband really can't help me in that respect because he was not abused. He doesn't understand where I've been. He understands what it is to be hurt. He's a person on the planet. He doesn't quite understand the dynamics behind the psychological abuse, the emotional abuse, and then my own dysfunctional ways of dealing with things because I was abused from birth. All the way through, I didn't really have any kind of normal life at all, really, with living with these two abusive parents and a family that was just so dysfunctional. So, it's taken everything I have just to kind of get where I'm at. Obviously, that's what it is for all of us. And he doesn't understand. You know what I mean? Like where where my mind is most of the time, where I'm coming from. He's very, very supportive though, and he's willing to just let me be me and do what I need to do. He doesn't expect me to just be somebody else, or he doesn't expect me to feel a certain way, which, I mean, I've actually seen this happen with people. I've actually had people tell me, as a survivor of abuse, I've had friends, even in friendships and stuff, tell me, well, you need to feel this. You need to feel that. Don't you think you should forgive? And you need to feel this. And they're trying to tell me how to feel about my abuse, the abuse that I suffered as a child. No one can tell us how to feel about that. We know how we feel about that. No one else looking in from a third-party angle who was not there at the time has no idea the devastation done to a survivor of abuse. Can't sit there and tell you how to feel, how you should be feeling today because of it. I've had people tell me, you really should be over that by now, and you should just let that go. I just love when people say that. Live and let it go. Right? Live and let it go. I'm just one survivor out here willing to talk about this stuff. You know what I mean? You live and let it go? I can't let it go. It completely ruined and trashed my entire life, including my body. And, let it go? No, I'm having to learn how to live with it, is what I'm having to do. And learning how to accept myself as I am, which is damaged, I mean, So I always find it very interesting when people who have no idea where we've been have the nerve to come alongside and try to be a voice of some sort of sanity and reason and say something so completely, ignorant that it's not even funny. But I've had many, many people do that, come by and say, oh, you just need to, live and move on with your life, It's like, why? So that you will be more comfortable, so that you won't have to deal with me being, in this situation that I'm in as a survivor of abuse. That's not being a friend. That's not being a caring individual, right? So they said if there is a foundation of caring, love, and mutual respect, then the relationship will be able to withstand a problem, right? So if our partner's interested, then really they should take the time to listen. That's what they're talking about. But people don't always have that in their life. Whereas my husband is exactly that way. He just lets me be me. He doesn't expect me to have a smile on my face. He doesn't expect me to wake up every morning and be so chipper and, oh, this is great. Life is good. He knows I have difficulties, and he knows about the abuse. And so he just gives me the space and the time that I need. He lets me be me. And so in that respect, I'd say he's very, very helpful. He just can't, he doesn't know what it is to be abused, so he can't help me with this other stuff. That's why I work on this, myself, right? But he's very supportive. And, I mean, I'm just really blessed to have somebody like that in my life, whereas I know so many people don't, right? So they said, these are a few steps that we need to take here to learn how to trust others, right? They said, listen to your feelings and honor them. Communicate these feelings either to your partner, close ally, or write them into a journal. I always find journaling very helpful for myself. Communicate these feelings either to your partner, close ally, or write them into a journal. Listen to the voice within. It will tell you how you're feeling. But learn not to listen to it when it puts you down or tells you that you are stupid or unimportant. What is the work of your inner abuser? This is the work of your inner abuser. See, this is what a lot of people go through, and I know I do. I have that inner voice within. It's really my mother, and it's her inner. It's her words, that she told me that really had to have a lasting effect on my life, And so, I hear them, but I don't believe them anymore. You know what I mean? And even, when I was being abused, I was forced to endure this abuse. But the thing is now I've got this inner abuser that says, well, you're still worthless. You're still never going to make it. And I just don't listen to that voice anymore because I'm like, you know what? I'm proving you wrong. So there you go. I'm proving my inner abuser's voice wrong. And so I'm just like everybody else. I am worth it, and I am able to make it, and I can do this, And so, it says listen to the voices within, but watch out when it becomes that critical inner abuser, voice that's telling us these horrible things that really are not true and they're lies, right? We need to challenge the inner abuser, they said, combat the negative messages with positive, realistic ones. And that's why I'm doing this positive reinforcement type stuff, because, this inner abuser that would like to tell me that I'm worthless, useless, no good, rotten, evil, all the stuff that I heard growing up, both of my parents and my family, right? That I was just, all this stuff, right? Combat those negative messages with positive, realistic ones, which is that none of that stuff was true. See, that's what I'm saying. About like 9 years ago, I decided, when I started my healing journey, I realized that I needed to start seeing myself differently because, I needed to start seeing myself not as they saw me and not as they made me feel, but as who I really am, And then I thought, well, then I need to get in touch with who I really am and not play that role anymore, of that, useless, worthless, whatever, you know what I mean? So really, really important stuff. They said use affirmations to challenge these negative thoughts, right? Take risks. They said ask as though you. They said take risks, act as though you do trust, but be very guarded and then see the result. So they said, take some risks as far as trusting others, right? But act as though you do trust, but be very guarded and see the result. If you find out you can't trust that individual, then you have learned from the experience and will be unlikely to repeat the mistake again with the same individual. Well, that's kind of what I did. I just realized, I want people to trust me, so then I need to learn to trust others, right? They need to learn to trust me. That's how it is in every relationship. You cannot really fully trust anyone because people will let people down and people will hurt people. So you can't really put all your trust into someone. We just need to afford them the same trust that I would like them to give me, right? I want people to trust me, so then I need to trust them, but I'm still at the same time, we have to be careful, right? So that we're not re-victimized. So that's very important. So I think that's very helpful information. That's Havoca, H-A-V, like H-A-V-O-C-A, Havoca.org. It's a good website. So we'll move back over here and we'll go to, we'll look at positive reinforcement. What am I doing right in my daily walk? Looking at positives and, whatnot. Well, got up this morning feeling pretty good. Didn't get to do a whole lot of work on the weekend on my stuff, like I said, but that's all right. I'm just looking forward to this week, and continuing on. So I bought some vitamins. That's something because I'm working on the physical health stuff. I did buy some vitamins because I never take vitamins, so I almost refuse to take them. I really don't like taking it. I really don't like taking them for some reason, but I'm gonna take them and try to be better to my body, right? And so that's a positive. Here's a positive affirmation. I look forward to each new day. Fridays was today I have confidence. Now this morning, I look forward to each new day. And that's true. I didn't used to. And I have some days now that I would have to be honest and say there are some days where I wake up and I'm not really looking forward to each new day. I'm tired or whatever, but I think most of the time that's how I feel. And so that one's an easy one for me. I look forward to each new day. And so that's kind of nice. Self-care, what can we do? What are we doing both, physically, spiritually, emotionally to care for ourselves? What can we work on to help ourselves, right? Well, I'm working on the physical stuff here. So Irving Studio Self-Care has some interesting info on physical self-care, right? Here's physical release. This is from irvingstudios.com, or I think it's .com, or you can go to Child Abuse Survivor Monument. Just type in your browser, Child Abuse Survivor Monument, Irving Studios, it'll come up. And under their self-care tab, you can find some good information for survivors of abuse, right? Because he's a survivor himself. He's also a psychotherapist and a sculptor. So he's got some info there. This is physical release. Do yoga, exercise, or dance to expressive music. This is stuff that we could do to help ourselves release this physical release, to release these emotions that need to come out, whatever they are, right? Whether it's anger or just frustration or abuse-related, traumatic, we can release this stuff through like yoga, exercise, dance to expressive music. We could jog or run. I used to run before I broke my ankle. Before I was 18, I used to just run for hours across the city. That was a bit of a release for me because I was being abused in my home, and sometimes I would just run and just run in the rain, and just try to let some of that emotion come out, because I couldn't do it anywhere around my home because I'd be beaten or abused, right? Rollerblade, we could do that, or roller skate, whatever. We could lift weights. We could sing really loud, right? We could run around and play. We could we could ride a bike, swim. In the wintertime, we could go tobogganing. We could clean the house. We could clang pots and pans. I've heard lots of people say that clanging pots and pans always is very helpful for release, right? Put on music and play the drums or bongos, right? Go out and kick a ball, this kind of stuff. Use a punching bag, punch a pillow. I've heard lots of people talk about that. Shake your body. Allow the fear, hurt, or anger to shake out of your arms and legs. I've actually heard people say that's very helpful. I've never done any of that, just because my body's kind of a little bit twisted, so I don't put it through any kind of like stuff that I don't need to. But it's not a bad idea. So those are just some things that we could do for physical release, right? And I know myself for physically, like what I'm working on right now is trying to get into the beginning yoga because I'm so out of shape, really. I'm not really, if you were to look at me, if you were to see me on the street, you wouldn't think I was really that out of shape. But, it's not that I'm that out of shape. My issue is that I'm hitting 51 this year, and I can tell the difference between even a couple of years ago and today. Like my health is kind of going downhill, and I'm like, I got to stop that before I let myself go completely downhill, because I need to be able to look after my husband who's terminally ill. So, if I can't help him out, then I'm in trouble, because I need to be able to do that for him. That's the only reason why he's not in a facility, right? Because he's terminally ill and he's dying, and the only reason why he's allowed to not be in a place where the nurses and whatnot have to look after him steady is because I can help him, see? But if my health goes, then I won't be able to help him, right? And so, I need to be able to do this. And I thought, man, I've really got to start looking after myself instead of letting my body go, letting myself go. I need to work on that at the same time. So this is mainly the reason for it. And so I'm starting some, beginning yoga because I don't want to stretch any muscles the wrong way and stuff like that. So I'm really going to start out as a beginner and just build up my strength again, because I used to be really incredibly strong. I used to be able to lift 120 pounds. I probably still can easily and carry 120 pounds around. But I used to be really quite strong, and now I'm kind of, not so much, right? So I need to get my strength back, and I need to get my some of my health back. So that's what I'm working on. But, as far as the emotional, I'm always working on stuff for my emotional care as well. But right now I'm just focusing on the physical stuff. Spiritually, I'm feeling really good, I'm in a really great place spiritually, actually. Whereas before I wasn't. 9 years ago, I was a place where, I wanted to end my life. I was ready to commit suicide 9 years ago. And because I was spiritually dead, right, my whole life. And so, right now I'm in, 9 years later, I'm in a so much better place spiritually than I ever was, So it's the other stuff that I got to continue to work on. And so yeah, do whatever you find some of these things that work for you, and then give them a try, and then see if they do work. And then they actually say make a list of what does work and keep that in like a journal that you write in or something, your survivor journal or something. And that way you can look at the list, a couple months later and say something was working for me, but I can't remember what it was. You know what I mean? Whether it was punching a pillow or whatever it was, running around, kicking a ball, punching bag, whatever was working for us for these things, right? We need to write it down on a list, and that way when if we forget and or we're really frustrated or something, and we think, oh, well, that used to help me out. What was it? We can go back to our list, and then we don't forget what really works for us, right? So keeping a journal is really important. Hovoka's Survivor's Bill of Rights, we have the right to decide for yourself whether, when, and where to confront your fear. So Fridays we have the personal authority, we have the right to be afraid and to avoid what frightens us, right? So now, this morning, we have, as a matter of personal authority, you have the right to decide for yourself whether, when, and where to confront your fear. That's your own decision. That's my decision. That's exactly right. Nobody else can tell us, oh, you need to confront your fear on this. Maybe they make a suggestion. That's fine. But they can't be forceful and say, you just have to do this. You have to do that. No, if you're an adult, you can make your own decisions what you're going to do. And so, yeah, we can't let people push us into doing things that we're not ready to do. Basically, that's what they're saying here. We have to make sure that we decide whether we want to even confront our fear. But that's what they're saying here. When we would want to confront our fear is up to us, and where we would want to confront our fear, that's up to us as well. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to us. So you make sure that, as a survivor of abuse, that you do not allow people to railroad you into things that you know yourself you're going to be uncomfortable with, right? Basically, that's what they're saying. We do have rights, and you need to know your rights. Personal Bill of Rights, this is a interesting one, and this is from Charles H. Whitfield, MD, Healing the Child Within. We're looking at number 10. I have a right to have this is everywhere on the web. If you check this out, it's everywhere. It's all over the place. I found it on their website, but it's also it's on several different websites. It's a Personal Bill of Rights, but it's put out by Charles H. Whitfield, MD, Healing the Child Within. So we're on number 10. I have a right to have my needs and wants respected by others sincerely. And that's just so true. As survivors of abuse, I have a right to have my needs and wants respected by others sincerely. Now, this is really important for survivors of abuse, right? Because as survivors of abuse, we were made to feel that we didn't have any, that our needs were not important and our wants were not necessary. And as children being abused, that's really, so many of us would have been in that position. And so as an adult, I need to know that I do have a right to have my needs and my wants respected sincerely by others, because my needs are just as important as anybody else's. They're not more important. Our needs are not more important than somebody else's needs. Who are we to judge that? The issue is my needs are just as important as the next guy's, right? Or the next whoever, right? And so are my wants. So people should respect my needs and my wants sincerely. So we need to be sure and assert those needs and let people know what we need and what we want. And then the other people that we've actually let know this information, they need to respect that sincerely, right? That is so good. I just love that. And we're not going to have time again. You know what? Instead of looking at too much of this other stuff, tomorrow we'll cover some coping list info. That is some really good info. We just have a couple minutes left here. So we'll look at the Brainy Quote page. You can use their quotes if you just tell where you got them. That's what they want people to share these things around, right? This is www.brainyquote.com. I'm looking into the motivational section, actually. And there's a good one there. It says, I know where I'm going and I know the truth, and I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want. That's from Muhammad Ali. That's awesome. I know where I'm going and I know the truth. And I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want. Muhammad Ali. That's awesome. Yeah. We don't have to be what others want us to be. I don't have to play the role that my family set up for me. My whole entire family, because it was so many of us and we were all being abused. And I don't have to play that role. Nope. I don't have to be that person that they created from the abuse. I don't have to play that role anymore and keep living that life just to stay in that role. I know the truth. I know where I'm going, and I know who I am. And I don't have to be what anyone else wants me to be. I'm free to be what I want to be. Right? That's Muhammad Ali. That's awesome. So I hope you have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll pick up here tomorrow. I wish you a wonderful day. You can go to there's a meditation gallery, Irving Studios, Child Abuse Survivor Monument. They have a Quilt Square meditation gallery, Creating Safety. And we were looking at some on Friday. And they said, breathe in an energizing breath. Breathe out fear. Breathe in safety. And they said, call up or talk to someone who can assure you you're safe. And what I would say, if you're struggling and having a hard time here this morning and you just don't know how you're going to cope, and I've been there, so many of us have. You reach out, you call a crisis line, you call somebody, you make a phone call, and you get some help. You get some help and you stick it out, and you get help, the help that you deserve. And I wish everybody a really wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.